Since the dawn of the Pokemon franchise, people have been knocking it off. First, it was Digimon. Then, when Pokemon became a card game, Magic the Gathering copied it. And when Pokemon became a MOBA, League of Legends decided it wanted to do the same thing. But in all those instances, nobody used actual Pokemon, they always used their own creations. This totally accurate history lesson brings me to Crystal Monsters, a $5 DSiWare game that allows you to use real Pokemon to battle. Originally released in 2008 for mobile phones, Crystal Monsters starts out like Pokemon with you choosing one of 3 starters. While the first 2 are what you'd expect, the third is a plant type called Flower Power. Needless to say, I chose Flower Power as my starter. From then, Crystal Monsters attempts to differentiate itself from Pokemon, at least when it comes to battling. When you're attacking, you do a quick time event that may allow you to attack again for slightly more damage. When you're on defense, if you move the D-pad in the correct direction, you reduce the amount of damage done. Unlike Pokemon battles where you can just mash A and zone out, Crystal Monsters wants you to remain engaged at all times. Unfortunately, the gameplay is just not good. While always having something to do is an improvement, everything's far too repetitive and the battles can drag on for far too long. Whenever I'd face a boss monster, they take a ton of hits before going down. Unfortunately, they also love spamming healing moves that heal 7 or 8 attacks worth of damage every turn, prolonging a fight that already took far too long. When it comes to catching monsters, instead of Pokeballs, you have Essence Cores. So, you know how Pokeballs are fairly straightforward and player-friendly? Crystal Monsters decided to be as obtuse as possible. Now you can only catch a monster with a core of that monster's type. Imagine if you could only catch an Oddish with a Grass Ball, but that Grass Ball didn't work on a Pikachu. If that was the case, your inventory would fill up like crazy. And because Crystal Monsters menus move so slowly, actually getting to the right core takes forever. Now, I know what you're thinking. Is it possible for your balls to switch places? And you're wrong, monster catching can actually get worse. When you throw a core, you then have to mash A repeatedly to improve your catch percentage. Except you can lower the opposing monster to 1 hit point, beat the hell out of your 3DS, and still only have a 7% chance of success. But enough about the quality of a DSiWare game old enough to call you a boomer in Call of Duty. The whole reason you clicked on this video is for the best feature inside Crystal Monsters, its use of the system's camera. You're supposed to take a picture of yourself to put your sexy face in the game, but where's the fun in that? Just like Photo Dojo, you can put anything or anyone in the game. If you take a picture of a Pikachu's face, Crystal Monsters will paste it onto an existing monster in the game like some sort of Frankenstein-esque abomination. And since the system's camera is such low quality, you can barely tell what's there anyways. And the face appears in the weirdest place possible. Like, it's hilarious where they decided to put that picture. No matter how bad this is though, it doesn't change the fact that you can play this Pokemon clone with actual Pokemon. Or you can put a Digimon in there, or Elon Musk, or the Pepsi logo. The sky is the limit. Or I guess space is the limit. Unless you're a flat galaxyer who believes the galaxy is flat. Then I guess the limit is the edge of the universe. Anyways, Crystal Monsters allows you to put a Pikachu in the game if you want, it's just not implemented in a way that's fun for anybody. Another weird choice the developers made is with evolution. Instead of Flower Power evolving into Togemon or something, they just evolve into a plus version of themselves like their Disney or PlayStation. Their appearance doesn't change aside from a new color, but they might learn a new move. Oh, and I'm fairly confident there's no way to actually tell what a move does in this game. I've clicked on them in various menus and nothing ever happens. Same with type advantages. There's no way to tell if a move is super effective or not very effective other than looking at how much damage it does. There's just a lot of bad choices from the developers along with a lot of cut corners. For instance, the movement is super awkward. I get that it's a $5 game, but your character never controls well. Although you're able to use the stylus or D-pad, none of them are optimal. When using the D-pad, your character has to stop to turn. So if you're running in a straight line then want to go down, he'll have to stop for a second before doing that. It's infuriating. Then when you go to interact with something like a door or a chest, you might be a toenail off and nothing will happen. You wouldn't think that going in a door would be tougher than a boss fight in Elden Ring, but Crystal Monsters manages to achieve that. The touchscreen controls are slightly better, but even then the game will fail to register movement on the outer edges of the screen. Issues with Crystal Monsters extend to the writing too. It's uninspired to say the least. Pokemon's writing isn't exactly Oscar-worthy, but Crystal Monsters' dialogue is so stiff you'd think it was watching women's beach volleyball. If you thought all that was bad, the highlight colors for options are orange and yellow. And adding a monster to your team is right next to the button for releasing a monster forever. I think you get where I'm going with this. I accidentally released my starter because monsters are removed from your team automatically when they faint. It's just another negative in a game that could have been good if it didn't suck so hard. Aside from the fact that Crystal Monsters allows you to take a picture of anything and put it onto a monster, there's nothing worth talking about here. But do you know what is worth talking about? In the 1950s, NBC's Today Show was co-hosted by a chimpanzee named J. Fred Muggs. Not only that, apparently it was a huge success for the network. There was no mention of how much the diaper budget or banana budget was, though.